Welcome to another edition of Douglas on My Mind show. And once again, my name is Terrell Jacobs, City Manager of the City of Douglas. And we have with us today folks with the Certified Literate Community Program of Coffee County. And we're going to be talking with them about literacy and all the things thereof. And hopefully talk about fundraisers after these messages. Welcome back to Douglas on My Mind show. And Johnny just advised me, I forgot about this at the beginning of the show, that we are at a different location. We're at our beautiful museum, Heritage Station Museum. And as you can see, it is the old train station that was probably, I don't know how many years ago by now, off the top of my head. These history buffs know all that information. I'm only dangerous when I try to share information about dates and times. But we're here at the Heritage Station Museum and hope this will be a great location for us for some time in the future if we get some other opportunities to do some shots over here. But I have with me today Mrs. Andrea Taylor. She's with our chamber, and actually she's the vice president of the chamber. Am I correct? Did I get it right? And Mrs. Alice Hobson, she's from Wiregrass Technical College, and she is the, I forget your title off the top of my head.
Coordinator of Evening Operations and the Director of CLCP.
That's why I couldn't remember. That's a long time. She was going to get her name tag, but her name tag, her title just goes out the side of her name tag. But anyway, thank y'all for being here. And I was joking with them. I didn't think about this when we started because we actually was going to have someone else, two other people on the show today, but due to conflicts, they couldn't be here. So that left us with two Alabama grads, which I'm like, oh Lord. And my daughter went to Auburn, so War Eagles. They don't like me to say that. But anyway, just a shame.
We're gonna have to give you a roll tide.
We're gonna have to.
Right.
I know you're gonna have to roll tide on me. Okay, all right, good deal, good deal. All right, well, we are here talking about the Certified Literacy Community Program, which is a statewide initiative, and I'm not going to steal Miss Alice thunder, but talk to the viewers about what is a Certified Literate Community Program and hopefully help them understand what it's all about.
Okay, first of all, good morning. And the Certified Literate Community Program is an initiative and advocate of those of us who know that we have people who actually need to get their GED and did not graduate from high school for whatever the reason might be. We also can help high school students who's had difficulties trying to pass some of that high school testing, and they can come and try to help themselves better get the grades or whatever they need to go back to their high school and graduate. We have worked so hard to try to let everyone in the coffee community know that we're here for them to be able to help with literacy. We have one county in Lowndes County, which is in our southern region, who has completed that goal of being certified.
All right. Now, what does it mean? What is the benchmark? I think there's a percentage of benchmark of the individuals who are supposed to be literate in your community. I think it's what, is it 51%?
Yes, it's 50 plus 1.
50 plus 1.
Yes.
I always get it wrong.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's 50 plus 1. And in doing that, all we need to do is just stay in the community and encourage those people who really might not have a GED to go back. The test grades have changed some. We are now working from a computer base instead of doing paper based. And by doing that, it has caused a lot of people to fear the use of getting their GED. That is why we're going to work so hard on individual basis, trying to mentor in the community and get those persons and make them feel comfortable, because the test itself is basically the same, but instead of doing it from paper, they're having to use the computer. And the test has changed as far as the price. It's $160 now. And that's some of the things that we're doing here in this community, making it known that we're here to help you. Don't worry about the cost. It doesn't cost anything to practice the test. It's when it's time to take the test is the 160.
Right.
And that's where we as a committee have gotten together for some of the fundraisers to be able to provide that money for those individuals who might need it.
Right. Well, how many counties are in this region that you serve?
I serve 5 counties, and Coffee being one, Atkinson being one, Wilcox, Ben Hill, and Irwin.
Irwin County. Okay. And obviously, you know, there's some intrinsic benefits to the program that you're doing, the adult literacy classes that are actually taught right here at Coffee campus here for Wiregrass. So you talk a little bit about the classes out there and what are they preparing?
We have an adult ed program, and Sylvia Lockett is the director in this region for the adult ed program. We have excellent teachers there, and we run that program during the mornings, and we also have night programs, and you can go in and actually work on whatever part of the test that you would like to. Not only the test is important, it's just being in adult ed. You might have some people who's going back to re-emphasize their knowledge in English, and we're there for that to help them. One of our worst parts about it is the transportation and the service for babysitting, having somewhere to keep the children. And those are some of the things we as a committee, again, and the board have worked so hard to try to see what we can do to send those people back without them having that obstacle of wondering, you know, how am I going to get there, or what monies would be provided for child care. And all of this we're trying to do because of economic development, once again, so we can be able to know when people are coming in for business and trying to bring business to Coffee. We want them to know we have an education and we're working real hard to get what they need to be able to service this community.
Right. And talking about the benefits of the programs, one of the things that we did here in Coffee County is had what we call a BEST retreat, building economic strengths together. And there were kind of 2 pillars of focus that we were looking at. One was more of the bricks and mortar, which is the buildings, and we have a spec building being built right now. Hopefully, when's the scheduled date for that to be complete?
Hopefully November.
But the other component was it was actually education, and obviously, a lot of times people are not aware that employers, prospects, as we call them, already know about your demographics. They already know about your educational attainments. They already know about your skill sets of your community, those types of things. So having a literate community, or at least a more highly percentage literate community, can help in that regard. If Andrea, you want to take a little stab at trying to explain how it impacts y'all at the Chamber and EDA in regards to literacy and educational attainments?
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as employers go, probably the #1 topic we hear most nowadays is workforce development, you know, and having it's critical to have an educated workforce and a workforce that's ready, you know, already in place, because that's the one thing that, I mean, that's the majority of the business's funds, you know, that's where
personnel costs
goes, right? Personnel costs. So that's the major issue that we're seeing. You know, when businesses want to locate here and they're asking questions, it's not so much now about incentives or things of that nature, but what's the workforce like? Do you have people? And so many employers nowadays say, we can train people. We can help get people trained, you know, especially with Georgia. We have Quick Start, which helps employers get up and ready and running. But do you have people who have a good, strong work ethic, who are willing to work, and who are, who have an education?
Right.
And that GED is, a very important part of that.
Right. And let me say this, and I'm paying back to Ms. Alice here. One of the things that we're hoping that the adult literacy program can help is get folks prepared to have good basic skills.
That's exactly
because you
right.
can't be trained, or you
If
can't
you're not.
be hopefully motivated to do things that going to be meaningful to that employer if you don't have those basic skills.
Exactly.
So talk a little bit about those basic skills training and what's in the classroom to help them get that focus.
Well, the first thing that we try to emphasize is to let them get a better understanding of comprehension, being able to read, understanding map skills, understanding how to even administer medicine. That's little simple things like that will encourage them when they're out in the work field, being able to do what is asked of them from the employer. So when you're going in, everyone doesn't have to start out trying to be an algebra person or being able to speak a foreign language. We want them to understand that from a third grade level would be good to start, and that way it can build them up, because in reading the newspaper, that's one of the things that when they write it for understanding, and it's basically on a third grade level for most of them. So if we can get them doing their basic, the reading, the writing, understand some history, but like you say, the basic things are going to be what's so important for us. So when a company come in and say, do you have someone? I need someone that can do this. The hands-on skills are good, but you can't do it if you can't read.
Right.
You can't do it if you don't know simple arithmetic, as we would call it back during the day, but knowing math, so knowing your multiplications, and we're just going to have to be able to work with them and let them understand some of this stuff we might not be knowledgeable of. Let them know we have some weak areas, and building their own self-confidence, having good work ethics, being on time for work. All of that is a part. Coming to class on time, staying focused in what you're doing. And we have some excellent teachers here on the campus here in Coffee that will help train them to do a lot of these things. Work ethics is so important from the educational standpoint. When it puts them into the field of workforce, they would be doing the same.
Right. Well, definitely that's what it's all about. I'm seeing that we're going to have to take a break here just for a minute, and we're going to be back with more Douglas on My Mind after these messages. We're back with more Douglas on My Mind, and I have with me Ms. Allison Hobson with Wiregrass Technical College and with the Adult Literacy Program there, and Mrs. Andrea Taylor from our chamber, and we appreciate them being on the show today. And we're talking about the Certified Literate Community Program here in Coffee County, and we got a lot going on here. We got the adult education classes here at the Coffee campus. Matter of fact, we were talking a little bit about this and what they can learn and how hopefully